AI stocks have been surging. Is it too late to buy? Coming up, we'll hear from an investor who sees lots of opportunity ahead, and we'll highlight 10 AI stocks to watch. So hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. This is Ticker Take.
Okay, John, we have been getting so many requests for another video on AI stocks.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a big run. So the question becomes, can it continue? So we wanted to bring back tech investor Eric Jackson of EMJ Capital, who did a great video with us about quantum stocks.
And Eric's been in the headlines because of his big call on Open Door.
Yeah, we just did a video on that. Now, in this video, Eric's going to walk us through 10 companies at the center of the AI boom. We'll get to those now, but first, a friendly reminder, this is not financial advice.
In alphabetical order, stock number 1, Alphabet.
Well, Alphabet comes up a lot on Ticker Take, and look, this is a stock, Eric, that is recommended by at least 80% of the analysts who cover it. Give us the AI take on Alphabet.
Well, the good news is they were one of the first to kind of know the importance of AI, and they bought DeepMind in an expensive transaction at the time that should have given them a leg up on this whole entire market. They have the knowledgeable people and the technology to kind of make a big splash here. Obviously, with Gemini, they're trying to do that. The problem is how much does this eat at their core search revenue, and are they really going to be able to manage this transition properly? Those are the questions that have kind of held the stock back to this point.
Stock number 2, Cipher Mining.
Well, Cipher is a company that is not covered by as many analysts as Alphabet, but it is recommended by more than 90% of the analysts right now. You've been actually pretty vocal about this one as well, so explain it to us.
Yeah, this is a company that I do think has 100-bag potential, 100x potential,
Wow.
Because they started life as a Bitcoin miner. They still are to this point. There are a lot of Bitcoin miners out there, but they saw that the potential for AI, and they saw that they have the resources in terms of what they had to build out, the knowledge they had to learn for building a Bitcoin mining operation, that those kinds of data centers are exactly what's needed to power AI data centers. So what they've done is they've bought land, they have gotten the power connections needed in places and geographies where the price of the power is actually really, really low and very, very competitive, to build out like mega gigawatt potential facilities that they can either use themselves and do some sort of like private label AI data server service, kind of like a Corweave does, or they could strike a deal with the Oracles of the world who are partnering with, obviously, OpenAI for Project Stargate, or Meta or Google and others, and do those kinds of deals. So the thing that Cipher has that few of the other Bitcoin miners have is by the end of 26, they'll have 3 gigawatts of AI data centers energized and ready to roll. And I think that's going to be the key in the future, and it's going to lead to a big re-rating of Cipher, is that who's got the access to the most amount of energy now, today, not in years from now. That's what they have going for them.
Stock number 3, Corweave.
Well, you were just referencing Corweave, and it's got a lot of attention. It is currently, just based on the analysts' breakdown, the majority of the analysts are kind of in wait-and-see mode after everything that's happened, but break down the story for us.
Well, it's been one of the most successful IPOs of this year. They came out at $40 a share in March. Days before the IPO, some people were saying it might not even happen. Nvidia had to step in at the last minute and say they were going to buy a big chunk of shares. And some people said at the time, oh, they saved the IPO. And yet the stock afterwards, immediately when it started trading, increased 4x, 400%. So it was a big success. And what they do is they're sort of like a middleman provider of AI services. Remember I talked before about having the power connections, having the land and stuff. They never used to be in that business themselves, but they would partner with people like Core Scientific, who they just acquired, who had access to that. And then they would strike deals with the hyperscalers of the world, the Metas and others, Microsoft, to provide the AI services to them. So they were kind of somewhere in between, and they've made a big deal out of their software, their sort of secret sauce, that they do, they think is better than others. Whether that's true or not remains to be seen. I think they're in kind of an awkward place because they need access to power. they need those kind of connections, which up until now, they haven't been willing to go and do themselves. That's why they did the Quark Scientific deal. So it's definitely a kind of a two camps type of stock. Some people love it. They love the exposure to AI and the growth. The bears on it say, we think the stock's gotten ahead of itself. They're going to have to do more of these deals, and that's going to be expensive, and the price is going to come down.
Stock number 4, Iren.
Okay, so here's another stock that you've been pretty vocal about. And similar to Cipher that we were talking about, there's at least 90% of the analysts who are bullish on the company right now. Walk us through this one.
It's another 100-bagger like Cipher. This one's more of a safer bet, I would say, than Cipher, because they should have their 3 gigawatts of power energized sooner. They have more, a clearer line of sight. I think it's by next April they've guided that they're going to have all that those gigawatts up and running. And therefore, I think it's more likely that they are going to announce some kind of partnership deal with an Oracle or a Meta or someone like that. And of course, once that happens, the day that happens, we don't know when it will happen. It should be like a material boost to the stock price. So they know what they're doing. They've got a great technical team. They've been at this for years, sort of eyeing the AI HPC space and getting into it. At the same time, they're one of the most efficient Bitcoin miners out there. So now with Bitcoin around 120,000 as its price, Iren is making something like $1 billion a year in free cash flow because it costs them, their all-in costs are something like $41,000 to mine 1 Bitcoin. So it's a very profitable business for them and allows them to kind of devote a lot of resources into getting into AI and HPC.
Stock number 5, Meta.
Another stock that comes up a lot on ticker tape, and a stock that even after the gains it's had in recent years is still liked by more than 85% of the analyst community. Your view on Meta?
They're using GPUs from Nvidia to make a lot of money from their core ad businesses. They're by putting personalized ads in your Instagram streams or whatever. Now going to getting into WhatsApp. So a very profitable business. What kind of worries me about Meta is they've obviously been on a bit of an AI hiring spree recently that's gotten a lot of attention because they're paying big bucks for these people to come in. And I think the reason, that's a signal that it's coming from weakness, not strength. And so they obviously have always had big ambitions in AI, and they wanted to kind of have their own LLMs take over the world. I don't think that that's been happening so far. They're not well positioned relative to like an OpenAI. So the jury is still out. They definitely have all the capital in the world to kind of throw money at this problem. And, Mark Zuckerberg is determined, so we'll see.
Stock number 6, Microsoft.
Okay, so another big tech story, which also comes up on ticker tick a lot in Microsoft, and a company that gets a lot of love on Wall Street. Around 90% of the analysts like the company. Give us the AI perspective on Microsoft.
They've got great people. They've got tons of capital. They're doing all the right things. Great products like GitHub. That was a super acquisition for them. They have things like Copilot, writing software for companies and allowing them to kind of lay off people, unfortunately. So they're diversified in so many products. They're well positioned. They're again, like you can't really go wrong buying a Microsoft. They're going to benefit from AI. I just worry that there are just more exciting AI stories out there, whether it's big ones like OpenAI or smaller ones like Palantir.
Stock number 7, Nebius Group.
Okay, we've been getting a lot of questions about this particular company. About 80% of the analysts rated a buy right now. Tell us more about it.
Similar to Corweave, sort of the middleman in AI data centers, come out of Europe. Whereas Corweave is here in the US, and hasn't got as much attention as it arguably should have. That's changed in the recent weeks and months. Stock's been on a bit of a rally. So I do like them. I just like names like Iren and Cipher more because I think that re-rating has yet to happen for them, whereas it has for a Nebius and a Corweave.
Stock number 8, Nvidia.
All right. Well, I I think Nvidia probably has been the most talked about name on Ticker Take. With good reason, everyone's obviously watched to get to a $4 trillion market cap. Not as many buy ratings on Nvidia as there once were, but it's still like 85%. And obviously the company is set for some tremendous growth. But I guess, how do you think about the business at this stage?
We got the surprise recently that they were going to be able to sell some of their older chips into China. I think the market wasn't pricing that in. So that's been a boost. It's taken the stock up to $170 after it kind of previously had hit a ceiling of like 140, 150 for the last couple of years. So there's still some, it just shows like how dominant their chips are and will continue to be, that China is willing to use, I don't know, fourth generation old technology from Nvidia as opposed to the current generation of chips from a Huawei or somebody like that. They really are in the driver's seat for the foreseeable future in chips. And I don't think the demand for AI or ChatGPT is going down anytime soon. So I think they're in the driver's seat.
Stock number 9, Palantir.
Well, Palantir came up on one of our recent videos that was more on the defense industry, which speaks to the fact that, there's a lot of ways to look at what this business represents. When you look at the consensus on Wall Street, a lot of analysts had been on the sidelines, but that would have meant they also missed the rally that we saw in Palantir this year. Bottom line, on the AI side, how do we think of Palantir?
I think everyone thought that they were like a defense contractor, and they just, therefore, it's always seemed expensive ever since they IPO'd for something like 4 years now or something. I think it is pricey. It's like a $150 billion market cap company. But I think what the bulls saw before others, including me, I never saw this coming, but is that they're not a defense contractor. You should think of them as more of like an enterprise software AI company of the future. They're going to take all the knowledge that they've learned in building these different complex apps, for AI, driven apps for, some defense context, but they're going to use that like across a bunch of enterprise customers as well. And therefore, you have to think about the total size of the enterprise market that they're going to be selling those kinds of apps into over the next several years. And from that perspective, like they're in the driver's seat. They're building these apps that have to go on top of the chips, which are in the data centers, which are connected to the energy. So they're dominant in their niche.
And stock number 10, Tesla.
All right. Well, with Tesla, with the analysts, similar story to Palantir. I would say sort of about half of the analysts are recommending it. That's a lower percentage than you'd see with a lot of the other companies we talked about today. But that's been a pretty common trend with Tesla over the years, maybe for a myriad of reasons that you never see sort of everybody on board with buying the Tesla story. But it has increasingly become an AI story. So what is the AI story of Tesla in your opinion?
I think it's really about autonomous driving. I think we haven't really talked about that in any of these other companies right now, although I guess we could have with Alphabet, with Waymo. Over in China, it seems like everybody and their brother is now like launching their own autonomous vehicle. So there's a lot of competition over there. Over here, less so, and Tesla's really in the driver's seat. They've sort of taken their own approach with how they've built their autonomous driving. Definitely a battleground stock, lots of bulls and bears on either side. But that you can't argue with the amount of data that they've collected from all their customers for so many years. Does give them an edge as they continue to kind of develop things like XAI, which is their answer to OpenAI and stuff. So they are in a really enviable position with being able to go after this autonomous market, potentially being able to partner with the Fords of the world or the GMs or the traditional car makers. Of course, there's other stuff that people sometimes get excited about, like robots and all that. That's more further in the future, but this is definitely going to be an AI company for the next foreseeable future.
All right, those are 10 stocks tied to the AI boom. Our thanks to Eric Jackson. We've got more information on Eric in our description.
Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can be first to get our investing videos.
Absolutely, and help us meet our goal of 25,000 subscribers this year. If you subscribe, it just lets us make even more videos.
See you next time.